Welcome back to ADU Adventures, Building in the Backyard. I'm James, and today we're in Arcadia, California, and I have to tell you, no city in this series has handed me a better opening line. So here it goes. Arcadia is, as far as I can tell, the only city in America founded by a man, literally, named Lucky. It was built around the most famous racetrack in the West, and it was made immortal by a Depression-era longshot named Seabiscuit, a horse everybody rode off, who became the most beloved athlete in America. This is a city whose identity is wrapped in luck. It's on the seal. It's in the statues. It's in the origin story. But here's the twist, and it's the real thesis of this episode. The people who actually built Arcadia, wave after wave, were never gamblers at all. They were planners. And in the difference between those two things is everything. And here's the thing I want you to hold on to for the next 25 minutes or so, because it's the whole episode in one sentence. At Santa Anita, everyone was betting on horses. Everyone except the smartest people there. The smartest people there owned the ground under the track. So here's where we're going today. First, the history. And Arcadia's is the most cinematic in the San Gabriel Valley. Gold rush fortune, a paradise bought for $200,000, peacocks, a racetrack that died and rose again, and generation after generation of families who built this city on purpose. Second, what it means once a family's plan has succeeded, to own the ground and put it to work. And third, for the heart of it, the greatest underdog story ever run on Arcadia soil and what a small horse has to teach a city of large houses. So let's dive in. The Lucky City, a history written in wagers. Long before there was an Arcadia, there was, and please forgive my pronunciation, Alu Piknu, a village of the indigenous Tongva people, whose name is translated as the place of many waters. That's the oldest layer of this story, and it deserves to be said first. The modern chapter starts in 1845, when the Mexican land grant of Rancho Santa Anita went to a Scotsman named Hugo Reed and his Tongva wife, Victoria. The rancho passed through several hands in 1875, when a gold rush millionaire named Elias Jackson Baldwin, known to everyone as Lucky Baldwin for his golden touch in business, bought 8,000 acres for $200,000. The story goes that when Lucky first saw the land, oaks, and water against the San Gabriel Mountains, he gasped, "By gads, this is paradise." And he wasn't wrong. Lucky went all in on his paradise. Orchards, ranches, a grand Queen Anne cottage by the lake that you can still visit today at the Los Angeles County Arboretum, which sits on its old estate. He even imported peafowl to patrol his grounds for snakes, and their wild descendants still strut around Arcadia's streets today. The peacock is actually on the city seal. There are peacock crossing signs. I'm not making this up. In 1903, Lucky founded the city of Arcadia and became its first mayor. And then came the first great lesson in luck. Elias Jackson Lucky Baldwin built a racetrack on his rancho in 1907. 2 years later, in 1909, California outlawed betting on horses, and the track died. Lucky died the same year. The gambler's paradise went quiet for a quarter century. But Arcadia wasn't done betting. In the depths of the Great Depression, of all moments, a group of investors, including Hollywood producer Hal Roach, singer Bing Crosby, and a businessman named Charles Howard, spent $3 million building a new track. Santa Anita Park opened at Christmas time in 1934, an Art Deco jewel with the mountains for a backdrop, and its signature race offered something unheard of, a $100,000 prize. Fans called it the 100 Grander. Remember Charles Howard's name, by the way. He'll come back at the end of this episode attached to a small brown horse. After the war came the builders. Returning GIs planted their futures in Arcadia, and the chicken ranches and farm plots gave way to subdivisions so fast that the city became known, and I love this, as the City of Homes. Think about that name, especially in California. We're in the middle of a housing crisis, and here we got Arcadia, the City of Homes. Not the city of a racetrack, not the city of peacocks, the City of Homes. And then starting in the late 1970s and accelerating through the 80s and 90s came the wave that made modern Arcadia. Affluent immigrant families, most of Chinese and Taiwanese descent, made the boldest move a family can make. They crossed an ocean and put everything they had earned into a home in Arcadia, drawn above all by the schools. As LAist has chronicled, mansions rose where the post-war ranches had been. The city picked up the nickname the Chinese Beverly Hills, and today roughly 6 in 10 Arcadians are Asian American. The result is one of the most distinctive cities in California. Old Hollywood glamour and peacock crossings on the block, some of the best Chinese food in America on the next, and the 626 night market filling the racetrack infield on summer nights. The result is one of the most distinctive cities in California, and I love this place for this reason. It's got the vibe of old Hollywood, California, and peacock crossings on the block, some of the best Chinese food in America on the next block, the 626 night market, which is amazing, filling the racetrack infield on summer nights, and the Olympics bringing equestrian events back to Santa Anita in 2028. Now, I want to stop here and draw a line through this history carefully because it's the most important idea in the episode. Lucky gambled. That's not an insult. It's in his own nickname. And his gamble on paradise gave this city its bones. The Depression investors gambled too, millions on a racetrack while the country stood in bread lines. But the people who actually built Arcadia were doing something else entirely. A gamble is money placed on chance. What the GIs did and what the immigrants' family did, crossing an ocean, working for decades, saving across generations, choosing a school district with total conviction and backing that conviction with everything they had. That was a plan, executed with a discipline most of us can barely imagine. Arcadia may have been founded on luck, but it was built by people who left nothing to luck. Which raises the question this episode is really about. When a family's plan succeeds, what's the next move? Becoming the house, the one sure thing on your lot. Let's establish what success looks like in Arcadia with numbers. According to Redfin, the median sale price in Arcadia was $1.5 million over the 3 months ending in April 2026. And here's the figure I want you to sit with. The median price per square foot is $736. $736 for every square foot of livable space. In Arcadia, square footage isn't just a shelter. It's one of the most valuable commodities a family can own. So if you own a home in Arcadia, let's be clear-eyed about what you're holding. It isn't a winning ticket, and I won't call it one. Nobody handed it to your family. It's the result of a plan that worked. Years of work and discipline and sacrifices nobody outside your family ever saw. And the question that follows every plan that works is simple. What does the plan do next? Here's where Arcadia's own history hands you the answer. Remember the line from the top of the show? At Santa Anita, the crowds picked horses and the smart money owned the ground under the track. Your family already made the smart move. You own the ground. So the next chapter of that plan isn't a new risk, and it isn't letting anything ride. It's making the ground you already own do more work for the people who own it. That's what an ADU is in Arcadia. And here's why I call it the one sure thing on your lot. And I mean this structurally, not as a hype. Every other move you can make with your home equity is a bet on a specific future. Stocks bet on the markets, a flip bets on timing. Even doing nothing is a bet that nothing changes. But think about what a well-built backyard does across every future you can imagine. If the rental market stays strong, it earns month after month in one of the most demand-heavy corridors in Los Angeles County. If your parents need to be close, it houses them 30 feet away, designed for aging parents. If your kids can't buy into a $1.5 million market, let's be honest, at these prices, most young families can't. It becomes their launchpad. Inside the school district, your family sacrificed so much to join. And if you stay healthy and independent for 30 more years, it's the single-story home you eventually move into while the next generation takes the main house. Do you see what it is in Santa Anita terms? That's not picking one horse. That's owning a piece of every horse in the race. Whichever future crosses the line first, the same building collects. I can't tell you which future your family gets. Nobody can. That has always been the gambler's problem. You have to pick. The beauty of a backyard home is that you don't. Now, 2 honest notes because this show earns trust the slow way. First, I'm not going to quote you a construction cost. I never do. Every lot, every design, every city's requirements are different. And anybody that says your ADU is going to be this much, they're trying to sell you something. And anyone who quotes you on a number before seeing your property is guessing with your money. Second, none of this is financial advice. Your family's situation is your own, and big decisions deserve professional advisors at the table. So please let me make that clear. But I will say this about quality, and Arcadia of all cities should hear it. In a market where every square foot carries this much value, the worst thing you can do is build cheap square footage. A poorly built unit behind a beautiful Arcadia home drags on everything around it. A well-designed, well-built one, the kind you'd be proud to house your own mother in, performs across every one of those futures we just walked through. It rents better, it serves family better, and it holds value better. In a $736 per square foot city, build square footage worthy of the ground it stands on. Now, the heart of it, the smallest horse in the race. I promised you Charles Howard would come back. Here's where. And this is my favorite part of the episode. I love this stuff. I love the history. In the mid-1930s, Howard, one of the Santa Anita investors, bought a racehorse nobody wanted. The horse was small, about 15.2 hands is how they measure it. He had a strange, awkward way of running. PBS's American Experience documentary notes that some called it an egg beater gait. As a young horse, he'd been dismissed as lazy, run in the cheapest races, written off by the best minds in the sport. Well, his name was Seabiscuit. You probably know some of what happened next. The little horse started winning. In 1938, in front of a national radio audience, he beat War Admiral, a Triple Crown winner and the perfect aristocrat of racing, by 4 lengths in a head-to-head match race, and was named Horse of the Year. During the Depression, when the whole country felt written off, Seabiscuit became America's proof that the overlooked one can outrun the giants. But there was one race he couldn't win, the 100 Grander, his home race at Santa Anita. In 1937, he lost it by a nose. In 1938, he was slammed at the start, made a comeback for the ages, and lost it at the wire again. In 1938, a leg injury nearly ended him. His jockey, Red Pollard, had been badly injured himself. The experts said both of them were finished. And then, on March 2nd, 1940, a 7-year-old Seabiscuit, ancient by racing standards, with Pollard riding on a leg that barely healed, came back to Santa Anita one last time. Contemporary accounts put the crowd near 78,000 people. He got boxed in early, and then, down the stretch, Pollard found a gap between 2 horses, and the little horse with the egg beater gait burst through it and won the 100 Grander going away. His final race. It made him the leading money-winning horse in the world. There's been a statue of him at Santa Anita since 1941. And there's a reason, nearly a century later, it's still one of the most visited spots on the track. Now, Why am I telling you a horror story at the end of this episode about backyard homes? Because Arcadia, more than any city in California, has spent the last few decades asking one question about houses. How big can they get? The mansion that replaced the post-war ranch homes are the whole reason for the Chinese Beverly Hills nickname. Big has always been the answer. And yet Arcadia's most beloved legend, the one cast in bronze at the center of the city's identity, is the small one, the undersized, the overlooked, the written off, the one that outperformed every giant on the track. So here's the thought I want to leave the homeowners of Arcadia with. On a lot with a 5,000 square foot house, the highest performing square footage you may ever build is the smallest building on the property. The 800 square foot home in the back that earns when the mansion only costs, that houses your kids when the market locks them out. That serves your family dollar for dollar and foot for foot harder than any room in the big house ever will. In the city of mansions, the smart money has always been on the small horse. Arcadia's been telling you that since 1940. At Acton ADU, we call this family integrity planning. The deliberate choice to convert what your family has built into something that serves the people you built it for. Because that's the real answer to the question we started with. When the plan succeeds, what's the next move? You go back to why the plan exists in the first place. It was never about the house. It was about the family inside it and the generations still to come. From the city of homes to the city of homes within homes, that's a legacy Lucky himself would have bet on. If today's episode got you thinking about the ground your family already holds and what it could do for people you love, that's exactly the conversation we'd love to have with you. At Acton ADU, we've been building for more than 35 years. We don't just build ADUs, we build homes that last and legacies. Family first, transparent, no surprises. If you're ready to explore the possibility of an ADU, feel free to visit us at actonadu.com or call us for a free consultation. A quick reminder, nothing in this episode is financial advice, and construction costs and city requirements vary by property. So bring qualified professionals into any real planning. Verify current ADU requirements with the city of Arcadia before you design. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and thank you for thinking about the long race, not just the next one. I'm James, and this has been ADU Adventures, Building in the Backyard. I'll see you out there. This episode was sponsored by Acton ADU, the experts in high-quality, long-lasting ADUs. With over 35 years of experience in California, Acton handles everything from design to permits to construction and makes the process seamless for homeowners. If you're thinking about building an ADU, visit actonadu.com or call 408-539-1908 to get started. Thanks for listening to ADU Adventures Building in the Backyard. See you next time.